what is Juneteenth? Juneteenth is a merge of two words, June and 19th. So, and that's going to be an important date, June 19th, in the video. So, in 1863, Abraham Lincoln, during the Confederate days, issued the Emancipation of Proclamation in January. So, what that means was like the freedom of slaves. And that law was passed in 1863, but they still weren't free. So 2 years later, in 1865, in June 19th, they were freed. They had a ship of Union soldiers coming to Galveston, Texas, to tell them they were free slaves. So why did it have to wait 2 years? Well, that was during the Civil War time. What is the Civil War? So the Civil War was basically two groups in the United States, the Unions and the Confederates. They wanted to distance themselves from the Unions. They wanted their own government. I think there were 11 southern states that were part of the Confederate group. They clearly wanted themselves distanced from the Union. They wanted their own set of government. Didn't go down like that. They ended up losing the war. So due to that, the freeing the slaves took 2 years longer than what it was supposed to. Not even 2 years longer. It actually took an additional 2 more months. So after the war ended, 2 more months, because Texas landowners, they just wanted to do another harvest. So it took another 2 more months. So on June 19th, 1865, when the Union soldiers come and they tell them that they're free. So what we hear, that's how the story we know they were free. So it basically wasn't down like that. What had happened was they told them they were free, but obviously they didn't want to free them. So it was a fine line between employee and employer. There was no respect. They were still treated like slaves. They were free, but they technically weren't. They were still treated the same way as they were before the proclamation was passed. So, sorry, my camera was dying. Okay, so going back to 1865, there was a shipment of Union soldiers that came and told them in Galveston, Texas, that 250,000 slaves were free, right? So they're celebrating, thinking they're free, but they're technically not free. Like I said before, a lot of them were still beaten. A lot of them were basically still treated like slaves, and that mostly happened in Texas, West Virginia, I think, Kentucky, and Missouri. So it wasn't looking good for them. That was what happened in the States. Okay, so flash forward 150 years later. Actually, in 1980, Texas was one of the first states to make Juneteenth an official holiday, and then 46 other states went on the same. So what do we celebrate on Juneteenth? So Juneteenth is basically a celebration of friends and family, about teaching the young self-improvement and to measure the progress between now and their ancestors while they were slaves. So it was like self-improvement, measure the progress of racism and the freedom and everything in between, which was actually a really great thing to think about. To take time and think about how far you have come from your ancestors until now, which I think is amazing. Well, in Philadelphia, what they actually do is, well, I'm pretty sure in a lot of other states they did the same thing. But it's pretty cool to know that they were one of the few states that started. I saw this in the museum, that a lot of soldiers were actually trained in Philadelphia, and the one that went to Galveston and told them they're free to slaves. I think that's pretty cool. I didn't know that until I actually went to the museum and I found out. That was one of the things that went down in history. I think that's pretty cool. So in 2021, Joe Biden, our president, actually signed and made sure that a little more history that happened in the United States, recent history that happened in the United States, that one thing that started, so 2 days before June 19th, June 17th, 2021, Joe Biden made it official and signed the proclamation to make it a federal holiday. And this is a side note, but I didn't know this until I was doing my research, that big companies, like global companies, Twitter, Nike, Lyft, there's like only a few of them I remembered, actually does, like as a form of protest, they celebrate Juneteenth, like to like end systematic racism. I think that's pretty cool. Like big companies can do that, and obviously there's small companies who do that too. But like for a big company to do that, it's a big step. So, to end this video, just remember that Juneteenth is basically a celebration of like personal rights and respect, and like moving forward, remembering the past, but like still moving forward about it. And I think that's pretty great. Alright, my name is Nerieda Lupiack. This is the end of the video, and see you.